Lace not chase with the ism that I kick. Quick to pull your card if your pimping ain't legit. God tier podcast, baby. We back in the mix. Killer with another one of them, another installment of that flyness. Your player partner, Young Lush Uno, and my brother Dizaster with me at all times.
Yep.
And we're doing something a little bit different for this episode since it's a time of reflection. No Jumpers migrating to a new location. So
This is gonna be the last one here.
This is like beyond our podcast. This is one of the last pieces of content, period, being filmed in this classic location. You're gonna see a whole new backdrop and all that. So it's cool. I think we're damn near 15, 20 episodes deep in this.
It should be over 20. I think we're at like 22.
Yeah. We've
22 or 23. What is it?
20. Look at us.
This is the 24th. Yeah.
Look at us. Thank you, Riley.
So we did 23 before this one.
A lot of people thought we wouldn't make it this long. That's all right, though. And shouts to the members of the No Jumper community that have been rocking with us and allowing us time to get acclimated to this new platform because we've always been creatives and creators.
But just like learning like from a lot of them and just like seeing, just being around so much talent in this field, you know what I'm saying, has definitely gave us an extra edge. And just like, I feel like we've learned a lot in the last, couple months, whatever, 23 episodes, however long it's taken since we started. And
we're open to feedback. We're also open to ignoring what the hell y'all got to say because we out here with a mission. And in your eyes, so really what we're going to do today is I really want to feel like Dizaster
let's get it.
Is the most misunderstood character in definitely battle rap and one of the most enigmatic figures.
We're going off the bat, huh?
In hip-hop cultures, period. And a lot of people seem to get you twisted. Something that I always felt about you, and I want to take it back to your origin because a lot of people don't know your roots and they kind of got you twisted in a lot of regards. I always say you can't really look at Dizaster in the context of being an American. I know you were born in Los Angeles, but
yeah, correct.
You spent a lot of your formative years.
I'd say it's what makes it so so much that in itself is the fact that I spent my most important years. So it was like when I developed the most, it was between like 9 and 15 years old. So like that whole period when you actually become like you're becoming a man, like that, I spent that over there. So, you know what I'm saying? I was disconnected from all the shit that happened here. That's why when we be having conversations, you always ask me like about movie scenes and all types of shit. And I'm just like, man, I ain't seen that shit. Like,
well, yeah, because like so for those that don't know, you're from Beirut, Lebanon.
Yeah, from Lebanon, yeah.
And essentially, like, Terminator 2 just came out in Lebanon. It's like, I'm exaggerating, but things are...
We, like, growing up, like, when we were younger, I remember, like, all the big movies that happened when we were kids, like fucking Titanic and them type of movies that were, like, huge, like, blockbuster movies, you know what I mean?
Way later than America.
It took about almost 2 years. Like, we would hear about people watching it in America. Some people would, like, bootleg it and be like, I watched Titanic, you know what I'm saying? Like, you would hear people talking about it. But it was, like, such a big deal, I remember, at that time because it's just... Even the theaters we only had a couple of theaters, you know what I'm saying? And those theaters had to like wait a long time to get the shit down there, you know what I mean?
And growing up in the 80s and 90s in Lebanon, like, so from an American perspective, all we really knew of Lebanon, because we're not that privy to the nuances of the culture out there, we just know... Would you say Lebanon's a third world country?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it has that undertone to it, but I'd say like we grew up under real oppression. You know what I'm saying? And opposition that occupied the country and turmoil within it. You know what I mean? So like it was just like it was just all the bad things that you could have happen malfunctioning at the same time in a society were happening. You know what I'm saying? Like all the black market shit, wars going on, murders. You know what I'm saying? And like religious fanatics. Like it just. Like a fucking movie, you know what I'm saying? Like living in a movie. Like we got to see and experience some of the craziest shit ever, you know what I'm saying? Getting bombed on planes, all that shit, you know what I mean? Buildings getting rubbled.
And so this is like the height of the turmoil during your
when
childhood?
I lived when I lived over there, the civil war had ended, but there was all this shit going on between Hezbollah and Israel. So there was constantly shit going on, and then it wasn't just even when I lived there, because I came back to America when I was like 15 years old. And when we came here, I still went back every summer. So when I was 16, I went back. When I was 17, I went back. When I was 18, I went back. At like 18, they blew up the whole fucking airport while I was over there. And I had to like get the fuck up out of there through Syria, through a taxi cab. And the dude pulled out a gun on us and we had to pay him. Like we got fucking held hostage trying to get the fuck up out of there type of shit. You know what I mean? And like the whole shit got blown up. The only reason that even happened is because I had to like be my dad's bodyguard pretty much. He was going into this fucking area by himself because he needed to get back to work.
And you're 16 years old.
No, when that happened, I was a little bit older, but not that much older. When that happened, I was like, I was probably like 21.
So what's that? I'm curious about that story. I never even knew that. Like,
Yeah.
and I feel like I know a lot of your stories, but so tell me, what was this like Syrian taxi cab kidnapping? What happened?
Basically, like, you know, people remember this in Lebanon. Israel bombed our airport, right? And obviously, it's always that same excuse where, oh, they'll say like there was terrorists there or whatever the fuck the case is. We don't know what the fuck the case is. We know that we were over there and they fucking bombed an international airport. Shit that doesn't happen to any other country goes under the radar to us. We've always been meant to feel like we're not important like that to the rest of the world. You know what I'm saying? So like they bombed the fuck out of the fucking airport, and then America sent the fucking ship down there, like to go pick up all the people. I'm not about to go on no fucking ship. You know what I'm saying? You have to go crowd up over there with like 1 million people and get tossed onto some aircraft carrier and be like, you know what I'm saying? Get shipped off to Italy so you could. We just went.
You're like cargo essentially.
Yeah, and like we just kind of, you know, my pops needed to get back to work or his shit was gonna fall apart. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, I'm gonna mash through Syria like alone. Type of shit. And I was like, nah, I'm coming with you. So we left my brother and my mom behind and I bounced with him.
And Syria is even more dangerous than Lebanon.
At the time, it wasn't.
Okay.
But it was still, there was still, you know, it was like mafia'd the fuck out, you know what I mean? But it wasn't like Damascus that, you know, it wasn't like it was pre-war. It was pre the war that happened in Syria, you know what I mean? So it was before it got destroyed like that. And it was just a really crazy experience. Like, that's not the craziest part about the story. The craziest part about the story is we're in the cab and we're driving straight towards Syria through these back streets into the mountains, you know what I'm saying? And these mountains are all owned by tribes that are close to us, you know what I'm saying? Like we're really close to them. They have close bloodlines to us.
Tribes?
Yeah, like it's like part of our bloodline. You know what I mean? So like we get to this area where you cross over into more closer to like where Syria is, and there's a bridge. You know what I'm saying? So like we cross over this bridge, and we're listening to everything on the radio because we're trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. So we're listening to the news and we're listening to where shit's getting bombed and where shit's popping off. You know what I'm saying? And basically we passed through this bridge, dog, and we're like, I think it was like 4 or 5 minutes after we passed through the bridge, we're listening to them on the fucking radio talking about how the bridge just got blown up. Mm-hmm. So like it was some serious shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it was basically us listening to what could have been us dead. Like we passed through this bridge and the fucking radio was like, the bridge is gone. And like I remember me looking at my pops like, we just like looked at each other and we didn't even say shit. But then we did say shit because the fucking taxi cab driver was like, oh, it started tripping out. And
It's like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah,
the
and that
bridge
made
was there.
things even worse too, because I remember after that, the driver was just on edge. Like, I'm gonna stop right here. I'm gonna take you over here. It's gonna be this much. And then he just started playing with his pistol, and like it was just fucking crazy, dog. Like we ended up giving him almost everything we had to get us up out of there. You know what I mean?
So
My dad was like, "What do you have on you?" Like my dad gave him all his bread, and he was like, "What do you have on you?" Like
so he upped the pistol on you.
He didn't pull it on us like that, but he was just playing with it, saying like how he feels. He's, oh, you know, things are like, he's doing all that shit, like letting us know the pistol about to be turned to us or we're going to get kicked out the whip wherever the fuck we were at. You know what I'm saying? So it was a crazy experience. And from there, we went into Syria, then we went into Jordan. And then from Jordan, I almost got into a fight at the airport. And that almost stopped us over there because some dude just started tripping on me at the airport. It's just the wildest shit ever. And my dad like kind of calmed it down. It was like, he's my son, don't worry, he's crazy and all this shit. And everyone like kind of calmed it down. But I almost lost my shit on some dude at the airport because look what we had been through. You know what I mean? And I didn't even have this many tattoos. It was just my, you know, like a lot of Arab countries are more religious than Lebanon. Lebanon is more people tatted up and shit like that. You go through a lot of the Middle East, people will look at you crazy. So this dude was staring at my cedar tree, you know what I'm saying? He was like staring at it like with disgust. I'm like, fuck are you looking at? He's like, your bullshit thing, like, you know what I'm saying? That's what he said. And then I just came from, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're blowing my shit up. I'm over here trying to get up out of here, and you're telling me how you feel. Like, it's almost like he's one of the people that wants, like, he wanted Lebanon to fucking fall apart. So, like, and I was used to that because people we don't have the thing like Ukraine. Everybody comes to their fucking help. Like, oh, poor Ukrainians, you know what I'm saying? Like, we've been getting destroyed, bombed on for years, and like, they consider that the good guys doing it. When you look at it from our perspective, it's just literally a resistance to a land that's for us.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And like, Lebanese people are lost. They don't even know what the fucking war is about. Most of them think it's all like little shit on the inside. They don't understand that America and Israel and all of them are fucking everything up in the area, you know what I mean? And they're the ones causing all the fucking problems. So is France, you know what I'm saying? Just the colonizer countries, you know what I mean? England, France, you know. They're the reason why I'm American. Like, if you really want to fucking look at it, and I don't want this to come off wrong because I'm proud of what I am, and I probably would not be anywhere nearly as developed as I am without America. America gave me everything that I have, but I didn't ask for this shit. That's all I'm saying. I was displaced. My parents I had to be born here. My first time going to Lebanon, I was 30 days old. That's to just let you know, like, I wasn't even supposed to be here to begin with. And I went back during the war.
Which language was your first language?
That's a good question. It's definitely Arabic, but I'm more articulate in English. I am. But I dream in Arabic. I've spoke to my parents in Arabic my whole life. I read it, write it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm fluent in it. You know what I mean? It's just I'm a little bit more articulate in English because of my rapping shit and the fact I put so much work into writing. But I'm getting there in Arabic. Like, I get better every day.
But Arabic was technically your first language.
I would still call it my first language.
Something that I always found interesting, being someone that knows you well, you know, one of the few people in the culture of battle rap that's been around your family, you know what I mean? There's been an angle used against you in battles from the early days and it's kind of like, it's interesting, like, people always say, like, you're like a spoiled rich kid.
Yeah, I know.
You come from a rich...
I feel like that's like racist shit because, like, it's like stereotyping, like, oh, you Arabs all have oil money. Like, you really believe that? Like, it's really not like that.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of the oil money, and now you can correct me if I'm wrong, but growing up in West LA, I grew up around a lot of Persians, a lot of Iranians, and
I'd say they're way more well off than us.
Well, there's
over
a
here
lot of
in LA. And I don't know about the rest of the world, but in LA, they definitely are. Like, way more money. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not really developed like that. We don't even have strong communities out here like that, like Armenian and Iranian.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
They're powerhouses. Like,
the largest communities
Yeah.
of Middle Easterners in LA are obviously Persians and Armenians and Israelis too. You could throw in the mix as well. But you know, and I knew a few Lebanese kids growing up. Shouts to my homie Kyle. But it's not like a large community in Los Angeles. That's like a majority.
We only got a large community in Detroit.
There's not like, you
Michigan.
know, West LA has a huge concentration. They call like the Westwood area, like south of Santa Monica Boulevard, Little Tehran, or Tehrangeles, and they call in Glendale. That's a huge stronghold for Armenians, but there's no specific neighborhood that Lebanese people congregate to like that. And so, just to clarify that, what is? Do you come from privilege? Are you a privileged person?
I come from like the American dream. You know what I'm saying? Both my parents used to work when we were younger. I was like raised by a nanny for half my fucking life, you know what I mean? Or my auntie. My parents were always at work. They had one car that they had to share, you know what I'm saying? We lived in a okay neighborhood, you know what I mean? Not even, now it's like if you go over there, it's like, it's gone so far backwards, we wouldn't even be able to live in that motherfucker. Like, it's really bad, you know what I'm saying?
Like where?
It's called Shwaifat, and it's like Mafra Hay Silum. So like I grew up in this area. It's called Mafra Hay Silum Shwaifat. Tariq Said Al Adimi. I got it tatted over here. That's literally where I got all my shit, and it's just
I can't
was
even
the
pronounce that shit.
It was the most hip hop shit ever. Schweifat, it's easy to pronounce.
Schweifat.
Like, yeah, it's part of Beirut. It's
Okay.
like the outskirts of Beirut, but it's called Greater Beirut. So we basically are like Inglewood to Los Angeles because the airport is in our hood. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's the Beirut airport. You know what I mean? So basically, like my dad, like he came here with nothing. His pops passed away when he was like 20, and his brothers were all way younger than him. You know what I'm saying? And they had to like, they were all like 14, 12, 11, and 7. You know what I'm saying? And their pops passed away, and it was in Lebanon, and there was really no hope of anything, and a war was coming.
Did you have a house or an apartment? Or?
It's our village house that was passed on from Bashir, who the senior, my grandfather. You know what I mean? I have his name. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I often think about this shit. It's, like, crazy because they sacrificed all this shit for us to become something. In the beginning, that's why my relationship with them was fucked up, because they thought I was going down the wrong path. My dad always used to tell me, like, I came here and did all this fucking shit for you, and, like, you're not about to be a doctor, engineer, or go to college type of shit, because we had to deal with that type of pressure coming from an Arabic type of background, because that's how it is for us in the house. Like, you have to be one of those things or you failed.
Was there, as far as, you know, were you exposed to the effects of the Civil War and terrorism in your neighborhood? Like, did you see, like, missiles flying? And...
Yeah, I mean, like, there was always a lot of stuff. Schweifet's also a neighborhood, like, where I'm from, where there's just always been, like, a lot of crazy shit. Like,
violence.
drama. Yeah, like our drive-bys and shit like that are just, like, rocket launchers. Like, that happens in our neighborhood, you know what I mean? So we've had rocket fights in our neighborhood, like... Not me, I'm saying, like, you know, I mean, participating in them, obviously not, but that has happened, and yeah, like, times where people get killed in, like, huge amounts, you know what I mean? We've had, like, a famous massacre at the, it's called Hatit Risheni. It's a gas station literally, like, right there in front of my building, you know what I mean? So that had, like, a crazy massacre in it, where, like, dozens of people got killed there. So,
and you have memories of this growing up.
Yeah, because it's all around you. Like, you know, there's no internet and all this shit. Everything's word of mouth. The communities are tightly knitted out there. And we used to just play in the street as kids, like barefoot soccer, you know what I'm saying? And all the stories in the neighborhood would just come around from everybody that's around hanging out, you know what I mean? So like when we came here, like it was pretty much me and my dad. We couldn't even bring my mom and my brother with us. We were staying at his friend's house in Moreno Valley on a couch. We didn't come here to no fucking house or no, you know what I'm saying? We stayed there for like a couple months. Then we moved to Canoga Park to a little studio apartment, me and my pops.
Which at the time was a very active gang neighborhood.
It was, it's crazy. I came to like and like my dad didn't know, right? Me being also naive to like gang shit was just like, all right, everybody that looks hip hop over here, I'm gonna walk up to them, rap a verse to them, try to smoke weed with these motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I met all the first gangbangers I met over here and how they put me on. I had a homie named Steve. He was from Grape before I met all my homies. You know what I'm saying? Like he taught me how to roll a blunt. You know what I mean? So like my mom ended up and my brother coming here because we were working, like me and my dad were both doing crazy shit. I was hustling, he was working. Right after that, I fucking got a job at McDonald's. So like everybody was just on this American dream shit. Like nobody was just chilling at the house, you know what I'm saying? And like my boy got killed on the staircase, and it was the night my mom came from Lebanon. And you gotta understand, they don't know shit about American culture and shit like that. They just see me with like gangsters and shit like that, and they see rap shit, and they hear Biggie, Pac, and this was like right after all that, you know what I mean? So like my mom comes from Lebanon. She's like, all right, we're coming to America. Like we finally pulled it off. We're all gonna get a house together type of shit. We're gonna move out of this studio apartment. We're gonna go get a house a year later. You know what I mean? And she arrived on the day, dog, my homie got killed on the staircase, and she seen it. And then all the plans changed. Like it was like, we're getting the fuck out of this. Like it was the craziest shit ever. Like I was like, somehow it was my fault. All of it happened, and I brought them to the neighborhood, and I brought all this shit on them because I forced them to come to America. The whole way this shit happened was I was playing fucking soccer. I was playing for one of the strongest teams in the fucking country, the Premier League. It's called SUFA, right? And I even trained with the national team like 2 times. Like, so I had this crazy like career promising me to fucking do some shit. So I did this whole thing to my parents, like I'm coming to LA Galaxy and all that. You know what I mean? I came over here, man, and once I got here, I had never fucked a girl in my life. You know what I'm saying? I was still a virgin. Like Lebanon wasn't like that. No girl's gonna give you anything at 14, 15 years old. Your kids, you're trying to get a peck out of a girl, you know what I'm saying? I came here, lost my virginity within the first 2 weeks, you know what I'm saying? So like it's America, like the Western world where it's like free and all that shit. So I came to America and I just started smoking weed and doing all this crazy ass shit. And like they seen that I lied to them. Like I told them like I'm going there to do scholarship shit and play soccer. Get us out of here. Like I was like, I'm not staying in this country anymore. To the point where like, and this sounds like almost like I'm exaggerating, but I was setting my schools on fire. Like I was doing shit like that.
What?
I've set a school on fire before in Lebanon. It's called Eastwood College. I set the back of it on fire, bro. All the other schools I was in, I did crazy shit in all of them. Like
I assume when you set it on fire, no one was there at the time?
It's not that I set the school on fire. I set the back of it on fire. Then there was basically, all right, man, I'm gonna tell the story. It was like at the end of the year, they do the parents coming and the kids and everyone singing. There was the chapel and they're doing the fucking Christmas carols and all this shit. And I used to be part of that too, but I wasn't part of it no more. And there was all kinds of ongoing beef with the fucking school principal because they brought my mom to a parents teacher meeting and they embarrassed her in front of the whole fucking school. And they're like, you're a horrible parent. Your son is the fucking most horrible human being in the world. And like, you need to become a better parent. So my mom came home and just, it all leaked back onto me. I went and I fucking burned the school down almost. Like they know this story out there, you know what I mean? And it was so menacing. Like if I really tell you what I did, bro, I went in there with 3 of my homies. We knifed all the tires. So we went into the parking lot, all the school fucking, every single car that was in the lot, from parents, teachers to who the fuck was in the lot, we daggered every single fucking wheel. The shit just sounded like 1,000 people just silent farting at night.
Like
it was like
snakes hissing.
It just sounded, you walked into the parking lot, it was like it just sounded insane. I still remember it, you know what I mean? Trapped them in there, set this shit on fire, started throwing rocks through the fucking windows. Everyone started breaking out, you know what I'm saying? And I bounced back to my house, which was really close, and there's a balcony, and I could look from what was happening. And I watched all the parents go home in school buses that night.
Wow.
I watched that shit happen. And that's how nuts I was about leaving there. And I was telling them, I can't be here anymore. Like I created this whole fucking thing where I just couldn't be accepted in any more schools because I was like, I'm wasting my life here and I have no future. And I was just telling them like, and in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna check this out. In my head, in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm gonna do battle rap. Because I had just seen battle rap and I thought it was something. In my head, I was like, this is gonna become something. And talk about fucking crazy ass shit. Like, I don't even know why the fuck I thought that back then.
What was the thing that exposed you?
KRS-One,
Okay.
MC Shan, Kumo, Busy B, Kumo D, yeah, like that shit. Like, I started seeing just glimpses of it, and I was just like, this is it. Like, this is what I'm supposed. And then Onyx and DMX being like my first, like, real playlist, like, just made me aggressive about just how I want to come at people. And I just started all this anger that I had from all the shit that I was going through and just being like my school years were really fucked up. Like we could go on this forever, bro. Like nobody could relate to this shit unless they grew up out there. Our schools were grade 1 to 12, all in the same school. So as juniors, we were fighting fucking seniors. We were fucking middle schoolers having to fight big people. So as kids, we started gangs and we started fucking really like maiming juniors and seniors, bro, sending them to the hospital and the school. Like we were fucked up. Like, put it this way. We got so crazy at one point, we did like a small, like tiny little riot almost in the school. And me and my friends were just breaking bottles and just poking everything we saw. Like that's how, like, cause our Pepsi bottles in school back then were glass. We didn't have no fucking cans. Everything was glass bottles. So imagine it's like being at the bar at school. Like a fight turns into like a bar fight. Glass breaking everywhere. Like it was crazy like that. So all that combined made me just be like, America's gonna be the answer for me. So when I came here, it just started going south like that. And I just didn't fit in school. The assault with a deadly weapon thing happened in school, where I fucking got into it with like a real skinhead.
So okay, let's
like
let's
yeah,
touch,
well, you want to talk about that too?
Well, let's touch on all that. So
I'm about to get real mad.
First of all, is there certain things that you feel like people in America growing up take for granted, such as what was your situation as far as like electricity in Lebanon?
I mean, yeah, you could say that because like electricity, like you take it for granted because you don't know how crazy it is not to be able to use electricity. Like if I tell you right now, like, would you survive a day without electricity? In your head, you'd be like, easily. But once it happens, you'll be like, fuck this shit. Like, where the fuck am I living? I can't do nothing.
So would you not have electricity for days at a time?
But like, it would go throughout the day type of shit. You just get caught in points of the day where you can't even do nothing. I got caught like 3 a.m. coming back to the house. There's no electricity. My shit was on like 5%. I'm trying to do some shit. I just sat there. I couldn't get a hold of nobody. And I'm in the mountains and just stared at the fucking wall in the dark. I like lit one of my little fucking things that I brought with me in my bag, these little portable lights, lit the shit on the table, was smoking right there and just went to sleep on the couch, to, like just faded off until the sun came up. Like I couldn't even fucking go to sleep. I was sitting in the dark.
So then obviously you moved to America. Your parents think that you're on a soccer scholarship, which is
pretty much I'm telling them like Galaxy's gonna take me and all this shit.
Which is like a straight fabrication, right?
It was.
Like you somehow manipulated them into thinking
I faked some shit. I faked some letter or whatever.
You basically
I had somebody fake some shit for me. They believed it. And it was just like and it's crazy. It's sad because I could have did that.
So
like,
you basically tried.
I'm gonna tell you why I didn't play soccer though. It was the combination of being a fucking high school kid and America not being hip to the game yet.
So
it's like I lived in a different time, bro. If I lived now, I'd become a star. But like back then, it was like, you mean the women's sport? It was like all that type of shit. Like you talk to people and be like soccer, and they'd be like, what, soccer? Like nobody gave a fuck about it. And it was right after the World Cup happened out here in '94. So it was weird to me that people still weren't excited about it. Now they're dumping billions into it. So you're seeing excitement start in America. And we have a really strong team going to the World Cup. This is our strongest team we've ever had. But like, I lived in a different time, bro. I lived in the wrong time.
So then you come out here, and is it kind of like a culture shock when you first move out?
It was a little bit because I didn't know about a lot of this shit. All I knew was rap shit. All I could get along with is rappers and shit like that. People that are hip hop, break dancers, turntablists. Like I was finding people like that and taggers. Those are the people that I got along with. I got along with nobody else. I hated like metal back then. I have a lot of appreciation. I was just listening to Metallica right now, and I was thinking in my head like, damn, I would have never done this when I was younger. I absolutely hated that shit. All of it. Like I was anti all that shit. Like I was a straight hip hop purist. I hated any of the mainstream shit too. At that point, I fell off from my Mace shit and all that because Mace was one of my first guys that I listened to ever too.
Mace is still fire.
Yeah, Harlem World was crazy for me. That was one of my first albums too.
Mace just did a freestyle, which is amazing. He still got it.
He was the guy, man. But then I just once he like the whole like once they got super flashy and it turned into the Puffy era, like I just kept on zooming more into the just more lyricist angle of it and just loving Wu-Tang more and just then into gangster rap and just like at that point like I was already gone from that. You know what I mean? That was like '98 for me.
So what year was it that you guys moved back to America?
'99.
Okay, so this is, and within a couple years of you being back, it's 9/11.
Exactly, because I came here like it was like within a year and a half.
And after that, there is a huge amount of anti-Middle Eastern sentiment.
It was insane being Middle Eastern here. If I had this accent now, I probably would have had less problems because people tend to think I'm white because, you know, there's this weird stigma over minorities like black folks and Arabs or whoever. If we're like really articulate, that means we're whitewashed. You know what I mean? If you sound intelligent, that means you're like, they want me to be like, yes, buddy, go grab taxi cab or some shit. That's what they want me to talk like. But when I first came here,
I'd love to hear a recording.
I do have a recording somewhere. It's crazy. When I was like 12, Just a couple years before I came here. It was just
Well, it's funny
a
because
crazy accent. I had an accent.
Well, you know, it's funny because even in the time that I've known you, I look back at early footage of you from like 2007.
And I talk completely different.
Yeah, like you've become even more Americanized.
I have, obviously, because
over the
you
years.
are what you're, you know what I'm saying? You are what your environment is. That's why people develop accents the way they do, is because of the stimuli response to your environment. You know what I'm saying? So,
But being a kid with an accent named Bashir.
that was a really tough thing too. I had to change my name. I had to get an American name, which I look back and I'm ashamed of it. I'll never fucking do that. You know what I'm saying? I was using a straight American name. I was straight Roberting around.
Damn.
Like, because it became too much for me to just be like Bashir. You know what I mean? It was just, there wasn't this diversity in the beginning, bro. It was that era where the diversity still wasn't there. It was the Baywatch era.
And so you kind of felt like
It was the Baywatch era, man. I wasn't no star. Like, they just looked at me like, who the fuck are you?
so you feel like you didn't fit in when you were in Lebanon because you're like a little bit more American than them, and then you come out here and you feel like you don't fit in
I
America.
hated Lebanon when I lived there.
Yeah.
It's like it took me to grow up to be proud of who I am. I hated it. Like, when I tell you I hated it, like, I would sometimes deny that I was Lebanese.
Yeah.
People would just ask me, I'd be like,
Insane.
I'm American. I was born in America.
And then out here around 9/11, like, so what grade are you in at that point? Like 9th, 10th grade?
Yeah. Beginning high school years.
And what was it like dealing with these other kids? What happened?
That's what led to, like, first of all, I wasn't, the reason why I had to go to Santa Clarita when I first came here, people would be like, oh, you lived in Santa Clarita. Like, I'd be getting the shit from like, just like hood cats or people from the city, like, oh, you went to school out there. But what they don't understand is,
Well, first of all, Santa Clarita is not.
whatever the case is, what people don't understand is the reason why I was there.
When I think of Santa Clarita, I think of crystal meth, with all due respect.
It was early. We didn't know about that shit. But, like,
Somebody did. They was doing it. But anyways.
so the point is why I was there. The reason why I was there is because the LA School Unified District was like, no. Anywhere in our city, no. Like, they looked at my whole record and they're like, you're not allowed in any of our schools over here. It was flat out just like that. I wasn't able to go to no fucking schools.
So you had multiple expulsions.
Yeah, and at the time they had started this new system. I had missed it by like a year or two, like, where America and Lebanon were in contact through like academia. Like, there was the American University of Beirut and all this shit. So they had a line of like sending each other data, you know what I'm saying? So like they got this like whole thing about me. Like, they knew all my shit. I remember.
Motherfucker, you be setting schools on fire.
Yeah,
You
like
all
they
bad.
knew all
Like,
my shit, and it was bad. Like, I have a lot of fights in class. I have tons of them. I've hit my teachers before. Like, I had all that going on. I hit my British teacher when I was in 5th grade. Completely just wailed on him, fired on him, started jumping on him, hitting him from all angles. And I was a crazy soccer player at 10 years old too. I would come to school with my fucking cleats on. Everyone that remembers me will tell you that about me. I was wearing my cleats all day. Like, I just played soccer all day on the breaks and all that. So I just came to school wearing them. I didn't even wear shoes. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. That's why I have a very different fucking rap style.
So was it Santa Clarita, though? Is that where you really wound up getting in trouble?
Yeah, and they put me in this fucking school on the corner of, I forgot what the school was called. There's Canyon Country High School, and then on the corner of it, there was this school.
Like a continuation school?
Yeah, but it was like only like 20 of us in there. And there was like a fucking metal detector. There was like a dog in class and a cop. And we just went around the backyard. We just had this little backyard we could hang out in. And that's how I finished that fucking year. And then I ended up going to continuation school out here. And then I ended up going to night school and then homeschool. Like, I think it was like 11th grade or something. I went and I just got my GED and just did it at home. Like, it got so bad that I even fucking got into it at night school. Like, I had this night school thing where I now was able to go at night to school. They gave me this thing where I go to school at like 8 to like, or like 7 to like 8 to like 9 to 10. Like, I have these sessions and then I go home and I go with like a group of kids. It was like this weird night school thing, you know what I mean? And then I just got fucking removed from that shit. I forgot for what, but I did something.
There's certain things we're not going to talk about just because they're like a little bit too gnarly things, but you had some serious fights that
I'll put it like this without getting into too much detail.
Yeah, because I know you don't want to talk about that.
I really don't, because it just brings back the
I understand.
People wanting that to come back out. And
right.
Like, it's just a completely suppressed version of me, but I think it comes out in my battles. Like, when I say shit like, when I told Geechee, I'll rip his eyeball out. When I was saying all that shit about tearing his eye out, we both know I was diving into something that wasn't just, you know what I'm saying? Like,
not just a metaphor.
Yeah. Like, because, I don't know. We do tend to like reach into our imagination a lot when we write. I'd say most of it is like that, but it's hard to tell when we're writing anymore what we're really serious about. Like, if you listen to some of the gangbanging shit, you know what I mean? You don't know which one he's really saying that. Like, when he's like, I'll spin around the block and do this, he might really just be going into memory, and you're not gonna know because he's mixing it with a lot of exaggerated shit, right? And I think that's what that's kind of is, and that's the only time it comes out.
Do you, so as far as another big misconception, another angle that's used against you in battles all the time is like, oh, like, you kick it with gangsters for credibility.
So
and
I like try to be a gangster and all that.
Right, right.
Never have I ever in my life distorted, blurred the lines. And a lot of rappers do this shit. They be like wearing bandanas for certain colors. You know what I'm saying? You know, you'll never see me wearing some shit, hanging some shit out my left or right fucking pocket. You ain't gonna see me throwing up a sign that looks questionable. You ain't gonna see me doing none of that shit. I'm never gonna use it in a fight. I'm never gonna be getting into it with somebody. Be like, woo-dee-woo, I'm from here. Like, I'm not gonna do that just because someone's not looking. I don't false flag. I don't do nothing. And to be honest with you, if anything, I try to keep it to where I'm always giving my homies opportunities where they're not in those situations. You know what I'm saying? I don't like that shit. I don't like worrying about my homies all day. I don't think nothing about it is cool because I already seen, like, I've been past the cool part. Everybody gets infatuated with gangster shit. I was really young when that happened. Really, Trey D and the East Siders did that to me. You know what I mean?
And also just being
but
in Los Angeles.
That was my fucking period of what these kids are going through right now, is where I was infatuated with Crip shit and all this fucking shit. Maybe you could have told me this when I was like 16 or 17. Yeah, because I was like really involved in some shit and I had homies trying to put me on and do all that shit. But then you see what happens. You learn what the game is. You see what comes with it. You know, you see the pain that comes with it, the full-time looking over your shoulder shit. We was just talking about this. It's a full-time job. You ain't like a civilian where you could just fire on somebody and go back about your shit. It's not that fucking world. You gotta, if you're in that world, you're in that fucking world. I would never disrespect that, you know what I'm saying? And try to blur the lines because that's a certain sacrifice they've given their life to. You know what I'm saying? That's why when I've seen certain battlers put on a fucking, you know, no name dropping, but like wearing some shit to make it look some way and be like, oh, it's just a gimmick, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't look at it like that because I've had homies that died like that. Like, so like I've had homies that died from that. So I can't be like, yeah, this is something I'm gonna play around with and blur the lines with. But people still use it against me. I feel like it's their only thing to be able to separate me somehow because they're scared. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it's a fear they have in their self, and it's less about me because it's obvious I don't be doing this shit. I don't faking no fucking, please.
What's your relationship to the gang culture, and like how did like
my relationship to the gang culture is anybody that's really doing shit in the fucking city. Anybody that's doing shit out here, you gotta have those politics, bro. We're not in fucking Canada. This is, you know what I'm saying? This is not fucking, you know, a place where you could just come over here and just create your own bubble and ignore everything that's going on. You could. Actually, you could, but that's what you are, and you create your own world and you live in that. But if you're gonna be in the shit and really be on the floor, on the ground with people, you're gonna have to be on the ground with people. That's what the relationship is. It's either sometimes your best friends, like for me, it's most of it's like my homies that I grew up with, you know what I'm saying? But then sometimes it might be someone you're doing business with. It might be someone you have to do business with. It might be a promoter. It might be a, you know, that's what LA is. And if you're not in those realms, then you might not really be where it's at.
Now being, you know that for gang members, known gang members that are within the hip hop community, they kind of, if you become a person of stature and status and you're in a gang,
right,
you become somewhat of like a trophy for their enemies, for their ops.
It's a fucking dangerous, crazy. It's a crazy lifestyle that nobody should blur the lines with. And like, people should really stop with this fashion shit. People should really stop with the infatuation shit, and they really should start looking at it for what it is. It's some real ass shit. Nobody want the bullshit that comes with it. They like the dancing, they like all the fucking fashion shit, but like when shit pops off, it's like nobody wants to be involved in that. And that's the harsh reality of that. And that's why people need to understand that to begin with. And even though I be getting that in my battles and people be saying I be doing it, there's no proof of it. It's just battle rap. Like for me, I really don't take it serious anymore. I really don't. I used to be like, come on. But like at this point, it's like, if it's done creatively, I'll fuck with it. Like it was done creatively to me in my last battle. And I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? It wasn't necessarily like that, but it kind of was. What was you going to say? Yeah.
No, you good. Do you feel like that just gets used as an angle because people see who you be around and there's members of the battle
you
rap
have to use it. It's part of, I get it. What are you going to say? Compliment me?
Right.
You clearly got to say that. I mean, if it's done creatively, I'm going to always respect it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be like, oh, man, da-da-da. But yeah, man, if it's like constantly brought up on some shit to try to, if the people that really are saying it believe it and they want people to believe it, then that's probably when I'll step in and be like, nah, you tripping. You know what I mean? And it's kind of why I'm answering you on this side, because I didn't even know you was going to bring that up, but you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I think that people aren't really privy to the amount. Like I said, you being known to affiliate and consort with individuals that are from particular areas, that makes you high profile in that spectrum
but
as well.
I know how to, like, as you can see, T-Rail last time asked me about the situation. We both know I could have easily said some shit and made myself look really good. You know what I'm saying? But like, again, it's not in my place to talk about that shit, bro. And people who talk about it to look cool, man, they just make themselves targets like that, and you're not respecting the game, bro. And I can't be that guy coming out here and faking a funk like that. It got to always be a positive thing from me. You got to always be putting on and helping the community in some type of way and uplifting it, not using it as like yeah, this is what I got going on. When the fuck have you heard me say that?
Do you feel like, so have you done outreach work in those communities, and have you done things to uplift those?
I've rapped for the youth in those communities. I haven't done no fucking, I didn't do no food drives or nothing, you know what I'm saying, which I would love to do, you know what I'm saying? It's
it would be dope. We should do a GTX
I would
food
do,
drive.
hell yeah, that sounds like a plan. We could do that wherever. It's just, I've definitely put in my work being in those communities and being on the ground with the people and touching the people, you know what I'm saying? That's the most important thing, really. You know what I mean? It's just being there and just showing the respect and love and giving back. You know what I mean? Like, whenever I had something big going, I was always somewhere giving back. You know what I mean? I've done that my whole life with the shit. And I've hit everywhere in the city. Nobody could say to me that, like, oh, you won't go here, you won't go there, bro. I've earned my respect all over the fucking city, so people can say what they want. You know what I mean?
East side to west side and everywhere in between. With that being said, what we're really doing here is clearing up a lot of misconceptions. This is stuff, you've done thousands of interviews. You haven't touched on any of this stuff before.
Yeah,
This
you're
is
right.
Like
I mean, a little bit, but yeah, you're right.
Not to this degree, and not in such a definitive manner. Something else is, people don't really know of you in a business capacity. And people know of you as an artist, if anything, as a battle rapper, and they have their ideas of you based on your persona in battle rap or within battle rap media, which tends to be very hyped up, very somewhat erratic, you know. People don't know what you're gonna do next. You're very unpredictable.
Yeah, and I get that a lot. Some people will tell me like they feel like I'm volatile or whatever.
Very volatile.
Yeah.
But you have an incredible business mind.
But why am I like that?
I think a lot of the reasons why you're like that is everything we've been discussing.
It's like people give me a reason to be that way. I never just trip. You know what I'm saying? Like when I see something wrong, it's just, that's my problem, is not knowing how to handle it with more, just I need to be more, you know what I mean?
There's no velvet glove. It's all iron fist for
it
you.
is. When it comes to like just, you know, we're all students of the game. I'm not going to sit here and be like, I'm this incredible businessman. We're all learning about this shit together.
But you do have a really, understated business mind.
Right. And I want to say that my main fundamental thing that I follow all the time is that I make sure that everybody that I deal with, I treat them how I want to be treated. And I want them to feel excited as I'm excited. As long as everybody I'm always working with, I can motivate them and make sure they're excited, we're always going to fucking win together and business will always be good. And people need to be appreciated told about their qualities, reminded, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody deals with toxic bullshit online and from their friends or family or whatever. They deal with it in some capacity. And they need to be reminded about their good qualities. And that's kind of some of the big, you know, fundamental things about my approach to the shit. And as far as just, I'm about the artist first, you know what I'm saying? And you know this. You know how I feel about when it comes to staff member artists, you know what I'm saying? We've had this conversation.
Well, it's interesting because if you look at the landscape of battle rap culture, a lot of the legacy brands that built and defined the entire modern landscape of the culture, you know, Grind Time was started by battle rappers, Direct, Mad Ills, you know,
Right.
then eventually myself as well. King of the Dot was started by Organic. Don't Flop, the British battle
And
rap
the
league.
Premier League, too.
And the Premier League was started by Don't Flop was started by and Briggsy and Shoddy started
Right.
Premier League. These are all battle rappers. Smack obviously started the URL. He was like a very important person that was putting on battle rap and, you know, shooting battle rap DVDs well over 15 years ago. So these are all people that so he's the one exception to the rule, but he's so integrally involved with the culture. He's kind of like still counts as a battler, even though he's not one really, you know.
Right.
Smack, I'll kill you in a battle, bro. But no, you know what I'm saying though. And then obviously like Arsenal started UW, Loaded Lux had Lions Den,
Yeah.
Averb.
Was Lions Den really a league?
It was a platform.
Yeah.
Platform.
But yeah, we still got to count Lions Den for sure.
And then, you know, there's been a lot of battle rappers that have had platforms. And why was it important for you to launch GTX? And why so long? Why in 2022, when you've been around, why did it take you so long to do that?
Because of a lot of the fucking issues with the politics and the shit, because of, you know, living in the artist realm where if I can't dedicate time because I need to keep living paycheck to paycheck and battling and just keep my buzz going, so I'm building my shit, so I can't take time out to do anything. And anytime I tried, I would just fall flat on my face and have to jump back in a battle, you know what I'm saying? And it took a while, and then a lot of issues happened, and it took me a while to really think about what it is that we really stood for. And it just, once it all came to me, it was natural. It wasn't something that was like, the whole way the idea came was just the most natural shit ever, man. And it's just about giving us back the power and the artists. And as you can see, what we did with Satire was crazy as fuck, man. Shouts out to Satire. Anyone watching this, just type in Satire versus Marv by the time you see this, and it'll probably be out there. If it's not out there by then,
There's definitely
give it
clips.
an extra week.
Well, you can see, there's clips all over YouTube already.
It gonna be out in August, you know what I'm saying? Or it's at least beginning September. So I think that really encompassed like what it is we really stand for with GTX, is just waking back up that real, you know, love for the fucking craft and just having fun, enjoying ourselves, where it's not a job and you come in there and you just got these feelings of anxiety and people not fucking with you, and just that whole weird, like, you know, shelter from 8 Mile vibe that like motherfuckers are constantly trying to recreate. It's just not really a real environment, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
And in my opinion, it's cool to have that type of environment here and there, but when it becomes the standard and there's no more place where you find real love for the shit, you see shit happen like what the battlers have been saying all over Twitter, like I'm off this battle shit soon. As you see a lot of fucking legends right now talking about quitting, you know what I mean? And that's why GTX is here, to remind them that you don't really gotta quit, you just gotta find your fucking love for the shit, you know what I mean? And through the love for this shit, you will rebuild your thing and won't ever want to think about leaving or trying some other shit, because we're all battlers at heart. We're part of building this shit. Nobody should leave, you know what I'm saying? Especially none of the big guys.
so your career in battle rap, the early days, you were at one point the most feared, if not the number one overall freestyle battle rapper in Los Angeles, if not top 3. You know what I mean? Like you, No Can Do, maybe a couple other names can be thrown in that conversation for.
Me and No Can were definitely out here fucking on some Vegeta and Goku shit.
From like 2004 to 2007, around that time. Then you
Shouts out to Flawless too. I ran into him
Flawless,
again
yep,
at our
absolutely.
event, man. Like I battled Flawless like 2 or 3 times, and he's beat me. I remember he beat me the first time I battled him too.
So you were just a very dangerous freestyle battle rapper. Then through the early days of the YouTube leagues, you know, you became synonymous with the Grind Time brand, garnered millions upon millions of
views. And the reason why too was like because it was like kind of like all our homies starting it, and I remember Direct hitting me up, telling me like, man, I'm gonna call this shit Grind Time. Should I do it? What's up? Like, what you think? I'm like, yeah, man, that's a good name. Let's run with it. And then we ran with the shit. You know what I mean? Like I remember the whole beginning of that shit, and then you hit me up like after that first West Coast event that happened, and you set up the battle with me and Thesaurus. And after that shit, it was like history, man. I knew that was like the new place I gotta like, you know, I gotta adapt to. It was new, it was different. I had to adapt to the whole shit. Like I'm adapting to this new shit again. I've been adapting to every era that came around.
Well, you wind up becoming the champion of multiple leagues.
Right.
Garnering hundreds of millions of views. There's websites that, you know, like Verse Tracker that tracks battle rapper views, which have you listed as one of the top in the world, but it's still... There's several videos and battles that it's not accounting
Verse
for.
Tracker makes me look way smaller than I am, like way smaller.
You've battled
like
it.
for context, like me and Iron Solomon did like 20 million on Facebook and just a bunch of other millions on random YouTubes, but it's just showing as a 2 million view battle. You know what I mean? So people, when they watch it, they think in their head that only 2 million people have seen the battle.
Yeah.
The reality is that shit went viral in the Middle East. You know what I mean? And like I couldn't go anywhere without people recognizing me after that shit. It was fucking nuts.
So you have...
So I know it was in the...
You've battled in how many different countries?
I can't even give you a number right now. Probably like 14 or 15.
I was going to say 16, 17, but you battled in, okay, let's say 14 different countries. You battled in 3 different languages?
Yeah.
Battled in 3 different languages. You battled...
And you know what's crazy is I put classics together in 3 different languages. That's what I really want to highlight.
Over
they're not
a million
random,
in 3 different
they're not
languages.
random battles. Like they're the strongest version of those battles in their languages.
And you've battled the top battle rapper in several, like when you battle someone in the Philippines, when you battle someone in Australia, when you battle someone in Holland, wherever you go, Lebanon, you're battling the top dude out there. Mm-hmm. You're not just battling a random guy.
For the most part, it was always like that, yeah. Because like, even when I went to England and I battled Senso, you know what I'm saying? Senso was like that guy when I battled him. He took me and Solcon on in the same event. You know
well, then you wind up battling Shoddy Horror, who
and
becomes
I battled Shoddy. I shouts out to Shoddy. I brought him into this world, man. I ushered Shoddy into this fucking era, man. I'm actually proud of that, man. He was definitely one of my guys when he came into it, just off the bat. Like when I met him, he was just tapped in, man. I'm just gonna put it that way to you. You know what I mean? Like he just.
So you've done all that. You also are the guy that battled the most mainstream hip hop legends outside of who aren't from
Actual
battle rap
rappers,
culture. Yeah, you battled Cannabis. You battled Cassidy. You're about to battle King Crooked.
I didn't even throw 40 cal on there.
40 cal, you know what I mean? Like that's like...
Even though we had a virtual battle, but yeah.
You battled Asesino, who's the top, you know, who's a mainstream rapper in Mexico. You battled Oxymoron, who's like the Drake of Russia.
The Drake of Russia.
Yeah. Looney, you know what I mean?
Arguably the most viewed guy of all time.
In the Philippines.
No, not in the Philippines.
Well, I'm saying like from
the world,
from the Philippines. Yeah.
But he's probably still the world's most viewed.
So all that... You've done all that, and you still don't necessarily get the recognition that a lot of your core followers believe you deserve. How do you feel about that?
I don't know, man. Like at this point, like I'm starting to ignore it because I feel like at one point I thought I wasn't doing enough. You know what I'm saying? Like now I feel like people just expect too much all the time. You know what I mean? Like I guess that we're like victims of our own work. Like I've had so many legendary moments that if I never get back to those moments every single battle, it's just people can't bring themselves to believe that I'm doing anything better than I used to. You know what I'm saying? But the reality is it's just different shit. Like, I feel like all these battles I've been doing have been like classic ass battles. Look at the Danny Myers shit, the Soul Khan shit, the Assassino shit, like all of it, Geechee, like they're all like, whenever I battle someone, it's just a really classic battle. I'm still able, on my 23rd year in battle rap, I'm putting together bigger classics than pretty much anyone that's been in this as long as me.
And
anyone that's been in this as long as me is not consecutively putting out fucking classics like this. Like, all my battles are fucking huge, regardless who they're against. You see, I don't always take the hottest person. I take completely different people, but it's the same result every time. It's like the most talked about shit when it's happening, and it's just always just a big battle. You know what I mean?
And when you go to like, you know, URL, obvious, probably
fucking
the
lights, man.
top battle rap platform in America, you know what I mean? If not the world of all time, probably at this point, damn near, arguably, right? You battled two of their legends, Tay Rock and T-Rex, and
Right.
all that. You've hit every single platform. You've checked every single box.
I battled Skolar in New Zealand, who's like their guy out there. Battled Henry Bowers in Sweden, and Shazam, and Nils. And like, those are the biggest dudes out there. Nils is the best Norwegian battle rapper to ever exist. You know what I'm saying? Shouts out to Nils and the Skills. You know what I mean? These are all guys people are not familiar with. So again, to answer your question, really, because I didn't answer it, how do I feel when I don't get recognition? I feel like I used to take it personally, but I don't now, because I know people don't know their homework. They don't know their history. They don't value a lot of shit that I value. And because of that, it comes off like I'm doing shit that's irrelevant. And they don't give a fuck about it, because everyone's always just right there in the moment drinking the Kool-Aid that's right there. And because of that, that's what they want to fucking see going on. But there's all kinds of shit going on the side, and I'm always that guy that's like, oh, what's going on over here? I'm going to create a little thing over here. And people don't usually care about that, you know what I mean? But I think when time passes, the work stays, man. A lot of people just live in a temporary space. I understand how time works, man. It's just, we're on this plane, bro, and like, the further I get, the more work I put in, the body of work, when you stand back and look at it as one scale, it's just going to look completely different.
Yeah, you got the long game in mind. Now, even on this platform, on No Jumper.
I love how this turned out to be an interview with me. You like interviewed me.
I know what the fuck
I thought we was gonna have convos about shit. I feel like I'm having a therapist session.
I caught you slipping.
Yeah, you did.
I caught you slipping. But it's good,
I
right?
hate this shit.
No, this is great. Even on this platform on No Jumper, you first got on No Jumper by you made a tweet like,
oh yeah, my first time I got on No Jumper.
and props to Adam for actually fucking with you, because
because
he low key could have played you off.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, so
but
so basically, let me tell you what it was. It was like the long neck guy, I think.
This is what, 2018
I don't
maybe?
know, whatever. It was
long
like,
neck and wide neck were popping.
and I was seeing No Jumper, like I was like, man, this shit could be like a real place where people could actually start bringing light to the real rap shit, because everybody just wants to talk about this fucking shit that's popping right now, and that's cool, and there should be a place for that too. But like, there should be a place for this. Someone has to preserve this shit. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if it's popular or not. It just needs to be there for the people that are gonna fucking listen to it. You know what I mean? So I was just like, man, why the fuck is this dude on there? We not on there, da-da-da-da-da type of shit. And like, I remember getting a message back, and it was like, hey, do you want to come on type of shit? And then I did, and we had like a sick ass fucking interview, man. That shit did a milli.
Yeah, well, so that's the thing. Like,
that was a good interview.
You were responding to some viral clip that No Jumper had tweeted out.
That I didn't like.
And it was like some.
It's a clip I didn't like.
And you're like, and you tweeted something. I'm going to paraphrase it. Maybe someone could pull it up and put it on the screen. Not to give the editors more work, but essentially, there's what you said was like, yo, how are you guys focusing on this weird freak show that's going on when there's this huge battle rap movement is going on in Los Angeles? Y'all are in LA, and you're not talking to us. And look, a lot of people probably send disgruntled tweets to No Jumper.
Yeah, they could have ignored this shit easily.
But I mean, they could have, but also what made it a little more difficult. So props to Adam for actually acknowledging you. But I think what made him acknowledge you, beyond him being, you know, tapped into battle rap, and lo and behold, we didn't even know fucked with battle rap culture and was.
Yeah, and he turned out to know like a bunch of shit. I was actually really impressed right off the bat with Adam, because I remember when I first started fucking with Adam, I had like just a bunch of random people hitting me up like, why you fucking with the white dude? Like, he's, you know what I'm saying, he's trying to get in on the, he don't know nothing about this culture and all this shit. And I was just like, nah, you fucking wrong. Like,
yeah, if you watch the interview, he
I was like, you're wrong. Like, I was like, you're
it.
definitely wrong, because I don't like people that are like that. So I'm the first person to be on some shit. Like, if I could tell that someone doesn't respect the art form and doesn't really fuck with it like that, is just on some, just like, all right, this is cool, and doesn't genuinely like hear the bars, I could tell there's a difference between people like that. You could tell Adam, like, low key, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you pushed him into the right scenario, we could get this motherfucker to do a battle. He's already doing the fucking rhyme game, which, by the way, we need to get on that shit.
They don't want to see us on the rhyme game.
You know,
here,
we've done
bro.
that before. You better go watch our videos. We've smoked some people at that.
They don't want to see us.
Yeah, but that's like been a fucking game that we've always played, and it's
bar pong.
It's dope seeing them actually do that. It kind of makes me feel like they're closer to our culture by doing that. Like, they're into that. You know what I mean? It's like one of our little mini sports.
But I think that, yeah, absolutely. But I think that one of the things that really made Adam decide to do that interview is because hella people were like, yeah, like you had all your followers and supporters. This is before your old Twitter account was deleted.
Right, when I had like over 100,000 followers. Yeah, they
so you
fucking knocked my shit off because I was talking like that Pharaoh motherfucker they just interviewed.
Right.
That's why I was asking him. I was like, how do you not get removed? They took my ass all the way off Twitter.
Well, there's certain words that you would say. That,
yeah, all right, man, chill out, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And obviously that interview did really well, got millions of views. Other battle rappers started coming on the platform. And then eventually you wind up getting your own podcast with me over here. And
yeah.
And
I explained it to him just like that. Like, it was kind of like, you know, this is what we got going on. And it took like really like 10 minutes for it to register in his head.
But there's this whole, like the whole
it was just
dedicated,
like right there.
Like No Jumper has an insane dedicated fan base, right?
Right.
And a lot of people, when they see you on No Jumper, even though you arguably have as large as, if not significantly larger fan base and more accolades than anyone else that's come on this platform in the hosting capacity, you know, and that's no slight or disrespect to any of them, because, you know, we love all of our colleagues at No Jumper, but like, you come on here and there's still a large contingent of the fans that are like, who the fuck is this guy?
But that's I know how to deal with that, because to me, you know how I logically look at these things, man. When you're being introduced to new pools of people, man, there has to be as much context as possible. It takes time. That gonna wear off at some point. But yeah, what you're saying like is true. Like, it's crazy, because I feel like the whole internet's compartmentalized. Like,
yeah,
there's just
very
different
strange
sections to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just sections where you're not gonna be popping like that. Nobody's gonna know who you are. You know what I mean? There's sections where people gonna be talking about you the whole time. You know what I mean?
But every single, not only member of the staff, you like, we knew AD for years, like predating
AD
this.
the
Like
homie, man.
when
He's
AD was
certified for show.
Yeah, shouts to AD. Like, you know, T-Rell knew what was up. You know, Duno. Everyone is logged in with battle rap to a degree and knew who you were prior to being on here, not to mention the regard that the guests have you in. And like you're talking about guests that we've had on this show are some of the most respected lyricists in hip hop history, most decorated
Which has been
veterans.
a fucking honor to be honest
people
with
like
you. That's
Exhibit,
it's
you
been
know,
crazy interviewing all these guys, man. Like, because they obviously we didn't ever think we were gonna do that. Like, if anything, I had an idea what I was gonna do with battle rap. I just didn't think that I'd be having conversations like this. And with just people that I look up to, and just so many people, and people that we're gonna have next is just really fucking crazy. Might as well just even say who.
Got Elzai coming up.
Elzai coming up here, who, you know, I was arguing with somebody yesterday about this shit again, starting with this whole Elzai is not top 10 of all time lyricist, and I can't have a top 10 list without him on it.
Elzai's
I'm not
amazing.
gonna make a top 10 list, but I know he's on it.
And you're gonna be very happy when we sit down with him. I just spoke with Elzah yesterday, and he was asking a million questions about you and talking about your cannabis battle and how amazing it was.
Of course, because he's a gem. This guy needs to be preserved at all costs. I think people like him need to become like real teachers in this culture and have like students under him and people that are really he's like. Our guys that have really fucking held this shit together have to like assume like this different thing now going into this new digital world. There's new roles you could play. They need to be these fucking leaders and circumvent this bullshit fucking machine that's like creating garbage ass shit all around us. You know what I'm saying? We need to just preserve our guys, man. We don't got motherfuckers ain't gonna live forever. You know what I'm saying? Like we need to preserve this shit and just while they're here, give them their flowers and just learn from them and carry on what the fuck they did from their work and take that influence with us somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So it stays forever. That's how you immortalize them. You know what I'm saying? So he's one of those guys, man. Like I'm so excited about that. You know what I mean?
So,
but yeah,
you're about to go, handle some biz for a second, and then we'll be back doing the show in a few more weeks. What can people expect from the God Tier podcast moving forward, and what are your ambitions for this podcast?
I mean, really, like we're already doing it. I feel like a lot of people still don't quite understand. So let me just like clear it out more. We're not doing this podcast for viral moments. Obviously, when these clips are uploaded, sometimes they have titles in them. You know what I'm saying? That are chosen for a certain reason because this is obviously a platform at the end of the day. So there's always going to be, but the way we think is like this. We need to just keep shining light no matter what, like whether it's a viral moment or it's a story that we feel should be talked about. It's not a gossip thing for us. We're not looking for stories. Sometimes they're going to pop up. He loves fucking stories, by the way. But we're basically, essentially, we're both on the same page. We don't want this to turn into like the average thing where you're just looking for that fucking breaking news, that title that's a clickbait title. We want to talk about technical things. If you notice, we attack different things when we talk to our guests. I'm always trying to get into the technical aspects. I really want to know how people think. I want the world to hear how people think, their writing process, how they even formulate their ideas, these things that are not exposed to the world. And just moving forward is just to continue highlighting people that actually care about content, man. And I'm just going to keep
lyrical content.
Yeah, exactly. Not,
because that means something else over here.
Influencer content.
Well,
I mean, just the bars. Like just always know
the
that
craft
that's
of
what
rapping.
we focus on the bars.
And you focus on that a lot. And what I want to do is create the human picture of who these guys are.
That is one of your, and I feel like that's one of your best qualities in this, that you always go for that. And I don't tend to be interested in that, you know what I'm saying? And it's good because that creates the good balance. Yeah, because you getting people to know how they are. Like me, I'm trying to figure out like what makes them tick and why they do the fucking things they do. And especially when they're writers, you have to understand I'm still a battle rapper. You're not battling anymore. So like I'm also collecting data. Even though I'm not doing it on purpose most of the time, it's just how I'm wired to think. I'm a sponge. So like everything I'm hearing is going to some fucking, you know what I mean?
And I'm interested in
compartment.
I'm interested in the community and the culture that created these individuals for them to even spark that initial thought to where their creativity comes from. Like people don't talk about
me about my shit.
People don't talk about Dizaster in Lebanon. You know what I mean?
That's what I was just saying. Like you actually care about that, and I could attest to that. And
people
that
care
is
about
why
that.
I rap the way I rap. That is why if you look back on all of it, me finding hip hop over there in a very fucking like angry, violent space, and it was like Onyx, DMX. You could start tracing why I rap the way I do, and then like obviously we didn't talk about this, but both my mom and dad's side of the family have a lot of poets, and they're combative, competitive poets where they used to freestyle against each other in Arabic. And this goes back to the 1700s, 1800s, and they're still alive now. There's guys that are in their 70s, 60s, 80s doing this in our family. So I have battle rappers all throughout my family. There's people in my family that would kill me in Arabic in their 80s right now.
That's insane.
Yeah, and like it's a battle. You're poetically coming at somebody and there's no beat. So like it's the same shit, dog. So
rhyme schemes and all that.
Rhyme schemes and some of it's so
metaphors.
complex. Like one of my dad's cousins, he's unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? And his shit's just so complex that if he spoke English like that and he actually rapped in English the way he did in Arabic, he would. It's like alien shit because you got to remember Arabic has 500 million words.
Right.
and the English language is somewhere in the 100,000s. It's like the difference is night and day, dog. Like there's just infinite
more
fucking
colors
words.
to play with.
There's no real language on earth that has more words in it than the Arabic language, so it just makes it a really vast place to just move around.
And you're talking about fuck predating hip hop culture, which is, goes back to the early 70s. Like you're talking centuries of this.
And it even goes back like
what's the name of the art form? Like what do they
in
call
Arabic
it?
it's called zajal, right? The Greeks had it too, and it was called plighting.
Right.
And the Japanese did it, Africans did it. Like, so this has existed. I don't know who the fuck did it first. I don't know if we started it. I know Arabic culture is rooted in Islam, and the Quran rhymes. You know what I mean? Our books rhyme. Our holy books rhyme. Everything is based on rhyming. We understand the power of the rhyming. It's like a big thing. Like people just rhyme. It's an Arabic hobby.
That's crazy how deeply ingrained it is in you. And like at the end of the day,
I mean, imagine the Bible if it rhymed. That's literally how it is out there, like in everything.
Yo,
like,
King James off the wing like Ving Rhames when I'm pimp game. I'm Rick James and with a pimp cane.
you're hilarious.
But
quickly jumped in there, man. You should do a battle soon.
But nah, you feel me? I'm on the music tip. You already know we pushing the line.
I
Regardless,
hear
like
you.
my whole thing, bro, and the reason why I wanted to do this is because me, as your colleague, as your partner in this GTX endeavor, and as your homie, I'm sick of motherfuckers getting my boy twisted. That shit is really, really, really ancient.
Yeah.
And like, look, like, I get it.
You more mad for me than I am, but that's cool. You a
angles-
good homie. You a good homie.
No, it's just like
I'm
angles.
not that bad.
Angles are angles, and it's
Yeah.
good. Like, and it's part of the culture. Like, you might use an angle against somebody that's
Yeah.
exaggerated or not real because
Yeah,
you
and
know
I'll
it's
admit it
effective.
too. Like, hey man, it's a battle.
it works.
Yeah.
But when fans and people run with specific narratives
Yeah.
that paint you in
It
a
is
certain
annoying.
way,
Yeah, it is annoying.
when me knowing you as a person, like people talking about how you grew up privileged when the reality is, or
Right.
living in your parents' house or whatever, when the reality is, and I know you're not even going to say this, you've helped take care of your family.
Right, but like, you know what though? It's also a culture, like not shock, but like it's a rift right there because, like, in the Arab culture, we tend to stick with our parents for a lot longer than we're supposed to. We're wired that way. It has nothing to do with us being like, oh, like daddy and mommy. It's like more of like, we're all like a unit. Like, I got your back. I'm over here doing my own thing, but we're around each other because we're in a foreign place.
Look, I'm Italian. Like, in Italy,
You
people
look at a
live with
lot
their
of-
families till they're 50.
Arabs are not the only culture that are like this. So like you look at a lot of countries that, from our area and from the other side of the world, that's we're family orientated. So like I could understand why people told me like I lived with my parents my whole life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I get it. And when you put it like that,
I miss living with my parents, man. I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? I love my family. You know what I mean? I feel like that's a weird like outlook that I think like the corporate world, the fucking elites created. Like you need to get out of your house by the time you're 18. You need to go do this. Nah, bro. Like that's extra taxes. That's like you're paying extra rent. This was actually structured, and people could look this up. That's literally so they did a plan so each house that has like 3 or 4 kids, that's all separate rent fucking payments that the government's gonna be making instead of everybody pitching in for one rent. It's like you get this idea that everybody should have their own shit. That's the capitalism dream, and that's another topic. It really is. You asked a question that's very similar to this, and I'm telling you why it's rooted in American culture to feel like it's a bad thing to be with your parents. But anybody from the other side of the world gonna agree with me, and I promise you that.
No, and you're right. But at the end of the day, there's this. I don't want to even say stigma, but it's just like a belief system in hip hop culture where you're supposed to get it on your own. You're not supposed to be the result of having handouts and things like that.
And that's all good too. I mean, like, look, man, like,
which I know you have done. So when people have this,
we have both the influence of the Western world and the Middle Eastern world in my family, and it's because you have to get it. The fucking handout thing is whack. Like we learned that quick. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just you got to get your own, but it's also you gotta fucking care about family. Like, it's not about like depending on each other. It's about being there for each other. Like, if you need them for anything, or just your family, like, you fuck with them. Like, you're not this stranger. You call your mom once a month. You gotta check in with your mama. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a
Got to.
yeah.
What's the what in your eyes? Because I don't want to put you in a position to answer a definitive question, but what in your eyes is the relationship between Middle Eastern culture and Black culture within the context of hip hop?
I mean, bro, like, it's...
Or just in general.
And there's this huge thing, and it's like nobody wants to talk about it. The reality is what hip hop has done to the world. You know what I'm saying? It is born from revolutionary minds and from opposing like oppression. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what hip hop is. So when you look around the world, you look into the favelas in Brazil, you look into places in Africa, you look in the Philippines, and places that are stricken with these type of societal structures that have crippled the communities, right? Hip hop is flourishing. So when you look at Lebanon during the fucking war, and you look at most Middle Eastern countries and what we've been through, we've been stomped on by the oppressor into an oblivion. Why wouldn't hip hop be there? We're the ones fighting them. We're the ones fighting back, shooting back, blowing shit the fuck up. Like, if you think about it, like, do you know where hip hop lives right now? Hip hop only lives in one fucking place on the planet right now, and it's not in America. It lives in Palestine right now. It's not in my country either. It's not in Lebanon. That's where hip hop is right now. If you ever want to find it right now, you go find it over there in the fucking rubble. There's a kid over there. His name is Abdul. A little kid over there rapping in the rubble. That guy's hip hop. He's about 12 years old.
Nigeria low-key going crazy too.
Of course. No, I don't want to sound like I'm being, again, dismissive towards other cultures that are out there popping, especially my Nigerians. But I'm saying,
Palestine is
bro, because I'm excluding Lebanon. Like, so this is not like something personal, you know what I mean? But even Lebanon, like, when we were, I started writing because of this shit. What you mean? My first bars were all like jets in the sky, occupation, hesitation, assassination, fucking blasting nation. I'm like rapping about this shit. You know what I'm saying? This is what we started rapping about. And anybody who started rapping in Lebanon in the fucking 90s, their first fucking rounds that they ever wrote, their verses they ever wrote, was about this shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's why Lebanon is obsessed with Tupac. Was obsessed with Tupac. Insanely. You would see like a lot of Che Guevara and Tupac posters everywhere in the late 90s in Lebanon. People's bedrooms, and shirts, and tattoos.
Revolutionary shit.
Yeah, so you get where I'm going here with this shit. Like, that's kind of, so that's the relationship there, is that it's a voice for the voiceless, and it's always been that for us, you know what I mean? And we've dealt with that type of discrimination, you know what I mean? We've been called the N-word, you know what I mean? They add sand to the front of it, you know what I'm saying? We've dealt with all that fucking shit. We weren't welcome here. Granted, I do feel more welcome than I used to be, because things are getting a lot more easier, even though it seems like it's not, because there's a lot of racist shit always going on. But it was way worse for us, bro, when I first came here. It was, during the 9/11 shit, it was unbelievable.
Did you feel more accepted by the Black community than the white community?
That's the only community that accepted me when I came here. You know what I mean? And as you can see why the influence is there, and why in my battles people be like, you're a wannabe and all this fucking shit. I'm okay with that. I don't give a fuck. Oh, you're a guest, you're a wannabe, you're this, you're that, whatever. Cool. I have no control over this shit. I came here, that's what I identified with immediately. Because that's the only people that gave a fuck, really, when I first came here. Everybody else just really didn't care or know. Like, the Latino community was more like just, they didn't really know much about Lebanon, so it was just kind of like, oh, those guys, you know what I mean? And like, when it came to like white people, and it wasn't like it is right now. Like, white people now are friendly, and like they're more like, oh, you're Arab, like I understand. It wasn't like that. Nobody stood up for us. Nobody.
The Latinos were dealing with their own oppression at the time.
Right. And so when different cultures are dealing with their own shit too, they're not gonna have time to go feel what the fuck's going on in your shit, and that's okay. But when I came here, that's who I identified with. It was just always cats telling me like, yeah, man, they fucking y'all up over there, like there was always that understanding, like. And because we were always so connected to hip hop, and I think it just showed, you know what I mean? Like that was our shit. You know what I mean? Like in Lebanon, Beirut's still like that. Beirut's the most hip hop place in the Middle East. It's known. We're the rap fucking capital of this shit. You know what I mean? Where I'm from. The whole rest of the Middle East is more tourist shit. And I'll give it to Palestine too.
But Beirut's like the Bronx.
It is. It's the center of it. Like, I'm not just saying that anybody will agree with it. That's to be a rapper, like to be a Middle Eastern rapper, you gotta come to Beirut. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta show that you know what I mean, could do it out there too. It's like New York. It's the New York of this shit.
Well, I think that you've really, hopefully for people that watch this entire interview, I think there's a lot of gems that were dropped, and you
Right.
open people up to not only your perspective, but a more globally conscious perspective on battle rap culture and different people's interpretation of it, and how it manifests for the individuals. And even outside of that, just like what makes you such a, like I said in the beginning of the interview, enigmatic, interesting character.
Yeah, and like this makes me think of why all this shit happened and how where I'm at right now. Like people, like I don't know nothing else but this shit. Like this shit gave me my life. Like the battle rap and the hip hop shit. And I've said this before a couple of times, but it saved my life, because where the fuck would I be right now? Like what would I be doing? Working a 9 to 5, probably depressed as fuck, not doing what I want to do in my life. And this actually built my own lane.
And there's nothing wrong with working a 9 to 5.
No, I get that, but that's not what I want to do.
Right.
I would never want to fucking work for somebody else or go do something that I don't love doing. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that I was able to do what I love doing is like the craziest fucking thing ever, man. And it was hip hop that saved me from it, because I was a failure to my community in the beginning. When everybody started taking off, going to Harvard and all this fucking shit, leaving from Beirut and getting all these crazy jobs in America, I was over here doing bullshit, selling weed in the street, fucking around and rapping and going to shows and doing battles and flying to Chicago and doing all that crazy shit I was doing.
What do the people in Beirut think? Because you go to Lebanon often. Like, what do people think when you go back?
About to be there in 2 days.
Right, you're about to go back in 2 days.
Yep.
What is it like for Dizaster in Lebanon now?
Well, right now Lebanon is really fucked up. We're dealing with probably the most amount of inflation on earth. We have the worst economy on earth, like behind Venezuela or after it right now. We are absolutely the most destroyed country. There's no government. There's nothing. There's a president, supposedly, but he's supposed to leave. And I don't know if he's leaving. And there's no government. So there's nothing.
Does it feel lawless?
Inflated. It's very lawless, but there's still law there that just decides to do what it wants at any given moment. It's all ran by mafia shit. It's hard to get bread. Gas is extremely expensive. Electricity's fucked up. The average American would be really bothered unless they go there and live on a resort right now and act like they would in Cancun. If you go out into the country and just indulge, like I indulged in the Philippines and other countries that I went to, if you did that in Lebanon, right now you'd have a culture shock issue, like a really big one. The average American would be fucked up. They'd be like, oh shit, no hot water, fuck. Got to shower with ice cold water tonight. Like just basic needs constantly just running the fuck out. And so I'm going over there to just, there's a bunch of shit. You know, we've spoke about this, and I know you probably think I don't want to bring it up right now. And I might want to bring it up, but
Probably shouldn't. But you are interested in doing a battle out there as well.
yeah.
You know, for the people that are watching, as much as like this is like in my opinion, and you correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't want to be presumptuous. To me, this should be the quintessential Dizaster interview or discussion.
I don't know. I'm like kind of feel like I'm about to like come out of a shell type of shit. I'm just scared to talk about certain shit because I just don't want. I don't know. I don't want weird perceptions on me, bro. I'm sick of people assuming shit. I'm not trying to say anything right now. I'm not even trying to say anything, but it's the truth. And it's almost like, when am I going to start telling people what's going on with me? Like, I be going through shit, and you see this.
Well, I think it's cool to talk about anything that won't have any repercussions that would affect you in certain ways. Certain things you might want to not discuss. You know what I mean? But outside of that, I
don't give a fuck, bro. They robbed my mom out there while I was preparing for my battle with Geechee. You know what I'm saying? And these motherfuckers were trying to send threats and shook up my mom and did a bunch of fucking shit. This has been happening with me for the past 2 weeks. Now, I probably would have been able to deal with this situation a lot better if she would have just taken my advice after the shit fucking happened. You know what I'm saying? After these people came in the house and took all the shit. And I just told her to just go stay with our people somewhere else. But she wouldn't do it. And that's why I've been on fucking edge, because I'm sitting over here just thinking about like how messed up the situation is out there. I'm thinking about my mom standing her ground for what reason. She's like, it's my house, I'm not going anywhere. And it's like, for me, I'm just over here trying to, you know what I'm saying? I'm fucking thousands of miles away and she's telling me this, you know what I'm saying? So I'm about to go down there and have a good vacation.
With that,
I explained as much as I could. It's at the end of the day, it's like, you know, I ain't no fucking gangster, but, you know, at the end of the day, when it comes to family, ain't no limit to the shit a motherfucker would do. Right?
right?
Yeah. So, you know. And you know one thing about me is the technical aspect of how much I understand machinery.
With that being said,
Oh man, I had to laugh at that one.
with that being said, I don't think people are privy to a lot of aspects of truly what define you as a person. But beyond that, both of us and the level of personal sacrifice that we endure for the entertainment of others, what you put into your battles, what you put into your preparation process.
Because this shit happens while you're preparing too. And like what people don't know is, you know, after my last battle, you know, Geechee did incredible in this fucking battle, man. It was just such a crazy fucking battle for me, because I feel like nobody is like really like done that good against me. You know what I'm saying? Like it just felt so crazy for me. And like the only thing I was thinking of, and why I'm still just really fucking happy, is I didn't choke. I spit all my fucking bars, bro. I got every fucking bar out with us preparing for this event. I could be even going deeper into the shit that was going on with us.
Yeah,
the curveballs that were going on with us putting together this event that people don't understand. So like all this shit happening and keeping all this shit together has been some fucking crazy ass shit. And like,
and then the ramifications as a result, what we're dealing with now. You know, I'm not even gonna. This ain't about me, so I'm not gonna even speak about myself.
It's just so much. It's just so much. It's crazy, because I think like artists could attest to this too, man. And that's why you see people going crazy. I seen Doja Cat like tweet some crazy ass shit the other day. She's just like, "Fuck all you fucking guys and all this shit. You come up here so you could jerk off to my videos," and she's all flipping the fuck out on her Twitter for no reason. And I'm thinking like, why would she even tweet some shit like this? Like, she's all successful. Everyone loves her. Like, who's she even talking to, you know? And I just realized, like, people don't know what type of shit these artists be going through behind the scenes. They just see, like, what we show them. And, like, we come out, we keep the professional face. But it's like, nobody knows how crazy it is, because it's life, and you can't really control shit, and the show must go on type of shit. And we've been dealing with this show must go on type of shit. You know what I mean? And it's tough, man. Like, and, you know, I feel like you just brought me to like a crazy place in this interview, but I have a lot of plans, man. You know this. I got a lot of things to build, and you do too. And we, as dark as this shit kind of got at the end, because we got into like some really emotional shit, we got some really positive shit on the horizon. And
God willing,
you know, always just just trying to stay like 100 and just make sure that we help others doing the shit that we're doing and be able to live out our dreams through each other, man. It's just, that's all that matters at the end of the day, man. We've been sacrificing a lot for this shit. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. And I'm gonna go take this trip out there, man. Rectify a bunch of shit in my life, get some soul searching going on, man. And I'm gonna be back over here 1,000 times stronger, like I always do.
Gotta love this fool, man. Come on, man. It's
Love you too, man.
yeah, I love you, fool. But no, it's that being said, God Tier motherfucking podcast.
Damn, this was like a therapy session for disaster type of deal, man.
We about this biatch out this
Fuck,
biatch.